My name is Elizabeth Gerald. I'm the mother of Marcel Gerald, better known as Marcie. Marcie was as a kid, she was an average kid. She was goofy, she was silly. She liked to go to the movies with her friends, skating. They would go to the park. She liked to bake and, just did things girls did.
Yeah, she was always like energetic, playful, We were always like, cause my room was across from hers. She always come to my room to play the game and stuff, cause she was a gamer and stuff like me. Growing up, we used to always play the game, always.
I got this one memory in my head that it will stick with me forever. We was playing the game, cause at the time I didn't have a game system like that. So when I met them, they introduced me to the game and stuff like that. They introduced me to this one game called Dorito Crash Course. See, I remember playing that with them. She lost, and then she had raged, but it was like a rage that it was funny though. She didn't give up. She was just like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like, she was like, you guys are cheating.
She likes shooting games like that, shooter, trivia, even like board games and stuff like that, chess, checkers, stuff like that, Uno, Monopoly, any other, and she liked to record and stuff as well, like whenever I was doing like gymnastics and stuff, she always filmed.
We went to the park and we was up there with one of her friends, I forgot her name, and he had did this one flip, and like she was like, cause she was like a hype man, so he did this one flip, and she was just like, yeah, she was cheering and stuff like that.
Marcel Johnny Gerald, also known as Marcie, was born January 3rd, 2000, and died July 20th, 2015. I'm Thomas Jakari Walker. Let's find out who was Marcie Gerald.
She liked to go to school. She wanted to be a lawyer, and then maybe one day a Supreme Court justice. And that's what her dreams were, to go to Harvard Law was one of her biggest dreams and goals to do, is to do that and, really make something of herself and become something. And all that changed in the year of 2014 when she was brutally attacked by this 300-pound animal. I'm not gonna say too much about him, but just disgusting person. He had literally just gotten out of prison. He was supposed to register at a halfway house in Chicago, but he didn't. He was from the areas surrounding where we lived, so he knew those areas pretty well. I'm not sure when it happened, but somehow after he got out of prison, he had spotted my daughter, and he started, just like watching her and, following her around. And when he caught her by herself, he brutally attacked her and sexually assaulted her. And this was like a nightmare. You have the police coming, and, I'm thinking it's an accident when he tell me that something happened. And we rushed to the hospital just to find out she had been assaulted, and I was just in disbelief. And they had a CARES nurse, I think that's what they call CARES nurse, come up there and examine her. Then they took pictures for the police department, and the assault was so bad till she couldn't walk because her ovaries and uterus swollen to the point where she couldn't walk. They said they were inflamed because the assault was too bad, and she was a virgin still. After they finished with her, and let me tell people, people don't realize what rape victims go through. They have to get all kind of shots for STDs. They have to get something. It's called They have to get it's called anti-AIDS treatment. So because he was predisposed to AIDS being in prison, so she had to go through treatment so she wouldn't catch AIDS. Then they had to give her Plan B pills, which upset her stomach in case she had gotten pregnant. And these are just things that the state just automatically do when it's assault of this aptitude. They just automatically do this. And that was hard and traumatic because she would cry, and then her stomach was upset because of the different shots she was getting, and you know, the stuff for the anti-AIDS, that stuff, it just had her throwing up and everything. So she had to go through all of that. I'm grateful that the police department got this jerk off the streets. And you know, they came, and the state's attorney actually met with us at the police department, and they took her, they interviewed her, and you know, she did, and she was crying, and she told them what happened. And you know, the thing is, he never denied attacking her. I can't understand how he admitted it. He admitted to the police that it was him. And you know, when the state's attorney, he never denied what he did at all. He was, you know, but the problem was he just kept laughing and smiling, and you know, you're thinking, what in the world is wrong with this dude? I don't know. He admitted it, and he just never felt any remorse or anything. And I did get her counseling, I did get her help, because everybody always asks, because the assault, she spiraled down with PTSD and depression, and you know, it just got really bad. And the police department referred us to La Rabida, and La Rabida didn't have any beds. They referred us to the YWCA. The YWCA had older women, so that was a no-go. So we got referred then to the Laney Foundation. The Laney Foundation was great. The Dr. Summer Matheson was a great doctor. I would refer her to anybody. We started out with home. They would come because she didn't want to go out the door. So they started home therapy at first, and then the schools actually worked with us, and they did homeschooling. So the teachers would come by the house and homeschool her. They would take shifts coming by, you know, so she wouldn't get behind. And then the school eventually found a therapeutic school in Naperville, which was a very good school. And they did require her to stay on an honor roll. So she was able to do that. And it was a school, you know, for girls who had went through similar stuff that my daughter had went through. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is that, you know, La Rabida and the beds they didn't call me until it was too late. And then it was, you know, I didn't need their help. And I also wanted to bring in the fact that, you know, people ask me, well, where was the father at and the family? And I lost my stepson in 2008. He was shot in the head. You know, he was just, you know, got into it with some guys, and they shot him and killed him. So after that happened, my kid's father, he started drinking heavily, and you know, he grieved himself to death, I would say. It was too much. So he ended up literally passing away in 2010. And 2014 is when she was attacked. And like I said, I did get her help. And then as we would go to court for him, he would turn around, and you know, he would just laugh at us and just, you know, just winking, and you know, just very, very odd behavior. And they would say stuff like he has MR, and they said MR stands for mentally retarded. He was slow, he was this, he was that. And you know, he had been in jail before, so he knew what to do. I don't believe he was mentally retarded. I just think he knew what to do. So it was too much. My daughter just asked to get it over with. So we asked for a plea deal, and they offered 10 years on life parole. So I said, okay, and they told me don't worry about it because he never registered. So when he does get out, he'll be right back in there. And I don't understand the point of letting him out if he's not going to register. You know, he likes boys, he likes girls. I found out his father was a predator. His brother had been in jail. I think his brother was in jail at the time as a sex offender. And, you know, it's like the whole family is just, you know, something is wrong with them. He ended up, you know, at the end when everybody speaks, you know, I had something to say. When it was his turn to speak, everybody thought he would get up and apologize and show some sort of remorse. He showed zero remorse. He got up and told my daughter, if you wasn't so beautiful, I wouldn't have been attracted to you. So you have nobody to blame but yourself because I couldn't help myself. He blamed her for what he did. And it was just a lot. It was too much for her. And we left the courthouse and you know, it was, you know, as a parent, I was trying to be more, you know, stronger. And, you know, I didn't want her to see my anger and stuff. So I ended up just doing laundry. And I was up and downstairs doing laundry. And she was upstairs in her room. And I would check on her, ask her, is she okay? You know, do you need anything? Do you want anything? And she would just say no. She didn't want anything. So maybe around 10, I would say, she had called me and she said, Ma, and I said, what's wrong? And she asked me to run her some bath water. And she wanted lavender oil and I believe chamomile. It was 2 oils she wanted me to put in there. So I put in there and made her a bath for her. And she sat in the tub for about an hour, so I kept checking on her. So she got out the tub and put on her pajamas, and she went in her room for a while. Then I just laid down because I was tired, and she came downstairs maybe a little after midnight. Not sure what the time was, but I think it was a little after midnight. And she said, I love you, Mommy, and gave me a big hug and kiss. I said, I love you too, baby. And that's something we used to do all the time, so it was nothing different. And she just laid down with me, and around 6 o'clock in the morning, I said, Marcie, wake up, and nothing happened. So I said again, Marcie, wake up. And still nothing happened. So I said, Marcie, and then I sat her up, and I ran and screamed for my son. And, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm visually impaired, so I screamed for my son. And I said, come here, I can't. Marcie's just not waking up. And he came down, and he looked over the bed. I said, Ma, call 911. And he ran back upstairs, and he said I could hear him throwing her clothes or something. And I called 911 and said, there's something wrong with my daughter. I can't wake her up. So they were there, Billy Quick and Keith, who was I think he was chief of the police at the time. And he laid her on the floor and started CPR. And the ambulance was right behind them. And one of the paramedics said, we need to get her to the hospital. And so they was rushing her out, and then I just threw on my house shoes and I ran out behind them. And my son said, Mom, what happened? And I said, I don't know. And I got up and tried to get an ambulance. They told me I had to sit in the front, and I ran to the front and got in the seat in the front with the guy, and they took off, and they were working on the back. And we got to the hospital really quick, and the doctor and the nurses were standing outside when we pulled up. So they grabbed her and literally just the bed thing that she was on and pulled her in, and I tried to run, and I was tripping over something, so the nurse grabbed me and took me around the other side to the emergency room. And she sat me right there by the emergency room doors, and she ran in and she says, I'll be right back, let me see what's going on. So she came back a few minutes later and said, the doctor wants you to call your family members. And you know, this was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I don't have a phone, a purse, or nothing with me. So she said she'd call, and I said, okay. And I gave her my sister's number, my niece's number. She called them, and she said, your family member's on the way. She said, you know, your sister's and them called, and everybody will be on their way. So I said, okay. And I said again, well, what's wrong with my daughter? Is she in a coma? Does she need surgery? I mean, what's going on? So she said, well, let me go see what the doctors are saying, and the nurse, the doctor, and the third person came and they took me into this room, and none of this is dawning on me that they're saying they need to come talk to me, that they're telling me to call my family, and I'm just concerned what's going on with my daughter. And so I ended up we go into the small room, and they asked me to have a seat, and I'm still saying what's wrong with my daughter. And then the third person came and stood next to me and informed me that he was a chaplain. And I'm still like in the toilet. It's just like not dawning on them. There's a chaplain here, and we're in a small room. And the doctor said to me, Miss Joe, and this is one of the hardest parts of my job. And I was just saying, what's going on? And he told me she expired and there's nothing they can do. He said they tried everything. He said they did. They even tried to just even get her heartbeat started back up. It's something that they did. And he was trying to explain it to me. And he said, she's gone, she's expired. And it's like I was in the toilet. So it just wasn't real. It was like, this can't be happening. And
the day I heard that Marcie had died, that was like, because I looked at her as my little sister too, since I've known so long. That was like a pain that I haven't felt, in a while.
I was like, this can't be real. Like, you gotta be lying. Like, and then like, cause it was like out of nowhere. Like, I didn't think nothing of it, cause like she was always happy, like like I was saying. So it was like I couldn't catch nothing of it. So when I heard about it, I just like froze. Like I didn't even like I just mentally froze. Like I couldn't even think about anything at the moment.
I said, well, can I see her? And the nurse said, yeah, let me take you to her. She said, we gotta clean her up and then we'll bring you to her. And so nurse came back and got me, and they said I couldn't touch her, hug her, kiss her, or nothing because they had to do a full autopsy. So I said, okay. And she was just laying on the bed. They had the white sheets over her, and they pulled it down so right here. She was just laying on the bed like she was asleep or something. And it just, it just did not seem real to me. And I'm talking to her, and my sister then came in, and they was just like, what? And my sister walked back out and started crying. Then my niece said, get the F out of here, and she didn't believe it, and she started crying, and they walked back in the hallway, and it was a lot. The nurse said we could stay there until the coroner got there, and she said it'd be hours. So I'm thinking the whole family had time. This dude got there in 25 minutes, and everybody said this never happens. I don't understand how he got there so quick, but he was there, and I had to stay as we step out the room, and I just stood there by the door, and I seen him. He opened his book thing up and writing something down, then he pulled the tag out, and he put on her toe, and I asked, what is he doing there for? And to identify her and, make sure everything matches up. And he took some information from the nurse, gave him some stuff, and, gave him some information. And I seen him starting to pull, he pulled this cart thing in with this reddish bag. And when I seen him starting to pull her over towards this bag, he unzipped it and started pulling. I'm like, what he's gonna do with that? Don't put her in there. And when I tried to run and grab him, so he wouldn't put her in there, and that's when they grabbed me and the nurses and everybody turned me around. And then before I can get loose and turn back around, he had already left. And it was just like lightning how fast he was able to get her in there and leave. And by the time we got home, my neighbors had already started coming over, bringing fruit dishes and breakfast foods. And what can we do? The police department, and that's one thing I can say, I had a great support system. My family was there. My neighbors came, the school, they were notified, and they actually started coming by calling, and her friends, their families, the police department and their families were there. Even the fire department, the paramedics, and when I say the support was there, it was there. The Laney Foundation, Dr. Summer Anderson, I called her and told her she had people there, and when I say the support system was amazing. I had a good support system, and my sister said, well, we gotta, go plan our funeral. And get caskets and stuff, and we ended up going to the funeral home, and we found pink is our favorite color, so we ended up getting her a pink casket, and my niece worked at the mall at the time, and she ended up finding her a pink and white skirt and like a pretty pink and white pink and white shirt to match it, and we took that to the funeral home, and then they said we had to find a black leotard, and this is summertime, so we had to go all over to find a black leotard, because I guess they, you know, with her autopsy, they didn't want nothing, her skin showing at all. So we took that up there, and when I say, you know, it was just so much support. I mean, they were bringing in food and just what can we do, and people were going to the funeral home making payments, and, you know, I didn't, you know, it's just like, it was just amazing, you know, the support I got, and so I will forever be thankful for the village of Flossmoor, my neighbors of Flossmoor, the home of Flossmoor High School, and the teachers, the police department, the fire department. You know, I will always be grateful for them. And the day before the funeral, the funeral home had called me to come through her body, and me and my son and all of us, you know, we went up there, and when they opened the doors, and she was, you know, you stand in the door and you just see her up there, and it's like I thought I was gonna pass out at first. It was like, this cannot be real. And so my niece and them grabbed my arms, and, you know, we walked in towards the casket, and seeing her in that casket, it was just like, you know, it just didn't seem real. And, you know, they were asking me, is everything okay? They want me to, it didn't even seem real. And her cousin did her hair, and they were like, is her hair fine? Her, you know, it was just like, is this serious? And my sister was like, yeah, everything is fine. And it just didn't seem real to me, seeing your child in the casket, and I wouldn't wish this on nobody, this type of pain, because that's when it's starting. You're thinking that the child is not coming back, and I wouldn't wish this on nobody, you know. So the next day was the funeral, and we did the funeral, and once we got to the cemetery, and I just, you know, when I seen them lower her body, it really just started hitting me. Just, you know, them put her on the ground, and, you know, you're trying to know, and then they have to pull you back, and they have to just literally just pull you back, because you don't want to see your child go on the ground, and it's trying to pull them out. And, you know, if you have not lost a child, you will never understand this. And I know people say I've lost my parents, or I've lost my siblings, or I've lost this person, that person, my cat, my dog. It's just not the same when it's your child. You don't think your child is going to die before you. You think your child is going to bury you. And I'm speaking for all the mothers, not just, it doesn't matter how you lose your child. It could be a homicide or suicide or, you know, cancer, hit by a car. The pain is the same. So, because our kids are not coming back. Love your kids while they're here. And I know some people say my kids get on my nerves, but honey, I'm telling you, if you have to ever put your child in the ground, whatever they did, you just like, it wouldn't even, you know, it'll be nothing. Love your kids, love your family. You know, we have to start learning how to be kind to one another, learning how to appreciate one another. And I'm not just talking about with the kids, I'm just talking about in general. After my daughter died, people said to me, Black people don't kill themselves. And suicide is high in our African American community. And I did a Zoom call a couple of days ago with Black psychologists, and the statistics say that we have more suicides amongst our young ones now than homicides. But because of the stigmas and taboos, we don't even talk about it. We don't talk about the sexual assaults, the domestic violence. We don't really talk about any of these things. We sweep them under the rug. And I think when we say Black Lives Matter, all Black lives should matter. All of us. It shouldn't matter how you lose your child. It shouldn't matter your economic segment or your status, or, you know, how much you have or how much you don't have or where you live at. It should be, we all matter. The homeless people should matter. And we should all get a sistership amongst each other and try to help uplift each other instead of always dragging each other down and down each other. The men should get a brothership and try to help uplift each other and be there for one another, and just a familyship all together. And, until it starts and ends with us, until we start showing more kindness and appreciation to one another, nobody else is going to do it.
My name is Paul Pearson. I am a lecturer and professor at Chicago State University, teaching philosophy, political science, and I also facilitate courses for the city colleges related to law. As we look at our marginalized communities, our Black and Brown communities, we often blame the victim. We've created a school-to-prison pipeline in the era of mass incarceration, where we blame those who suffer traumas on a daily basis and say that they have to somehow pull themselves up by the bootstraps and make better choices, when we have not actually offered them choices and/or options to begin with. As we deal with some of this violence in our communities, we have to find ways to not only appropriately address the violence, but we also have to address the traumas and the mental health concerns that are correlated to the violence itself. And in some instances, if we address the trauma, we can actually prevent the violence from occurring in the first place. And with that being said, I'm so proud of Elizabeth and the works that she does as someone who is in the prevention space, trying to save lives before we get to situations where we need additional services. Her program, along with the mental health services that she advocates for, is something that I would put my life in the belief and the hope that if we can actually have those things implemented and utilized correctly with a culturally competent lens, that we can in fact address many of these concerns.
I started MJG movement, and we help sexual assault victims, women going through domestic violence, men too, not just women. Suicide prevention. We have a few people that are that have been sex trafficked. I have mothers who have lost to gun violence, and I know the mothers who've lost to police shootings. I help anybody who reaches out, because we all need it, we all hurt, we all grieve. And with MJG movement, what it is we do is, if they need us to go to court and advocate with them at court, we'll do that. If they need us to help get them like a restraining order or something, if there's a domestic going on, we can do that. Some people may just need help finding housing or help getting housing, we do that. You have people that may need help with food or utilities, we help with that. We help with whatever. Each person is different. So, different people ask for different things. So whatever we can help with is what we do. And at the end of the year, we will be opening up a safe house, and, we'll be able to really do a lot of transitioning into that and helping families go through, what I just said. And I also have an LLC, which is Marcie's Marvels, and that's with my comic books, and my lip gloss, my eyeshadow, my herbal teas, and we're building, and with the comic books, we're pushing that to be a movie, or I want it to be like a mini-series, Black Girl Resilience mini-series, what I would like it to be, but we're working on some things with that. And my name is Elizabeth Gerald again, and I can be reached on Facebook. My name is Elizabeth Gerald, which is Gerald, and there's a TF for Team Family. And then I also have an MJG Movement page on Facebook, and then an MJG Movement page on IG, and an MJG Movement page on Twitter. This is my reality, you guys. This is my reality. And this is a lot of families' reality, not just mine. I see so many moms, and I'm gonna say dads too, because I had a father reach out and say, fathers hurt too. There's a lot of families we're going through this. We have to do better by our culture. We really have to do better. We really do.
He took away my little sister, man, like, her ways, like, before everything happened, she was just perfect, you know what I mean? She was doing everything a young girl would do, you know what I mean?
Mama, I miss you, Mama.
If you would like to share your story on my platform, please contact support@taja7.com or contact me directly on my website at taja7.com.